Once there lived a beautiful girl named Cinderella. Her stepmother and stepsister made her do all the housework. One day, the king announced a party to select a wife for the prince. All the girls of the kingdom were invited to the party. The stepsisters dressed in the best gowns and went for the party. Cinderella was left behind, started crying as she also wanted to go to the ball party. Just then a fairy grandmother appears. The fairy grandmother changed 6 mice into horses and a coachman and a big pumpkin into a carriage. She then touched Cinderella and magically she was dressed into the most beautiful gown ever seen. The fairy grandmother then gave Cinderella a pair of glass slippers and told her that she should be back by midnight as the magic would end after that. Cinderella was so happy that she lost all track of time. Just as the clock struck 12, Cinderella remembered the fairy grandmother's words. She started running into her carriage in her hurry. She left one of the glass slipper in the palace. The prince announced that he would marry the girl whose feet would fit into the glass slippers. As a search was organized and soon the master found Cinderella. The Cinderella married the prince and they lived happily ever after. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, in a far, far away land, there lived a queen who had a beautiful daughter with skin as white as snow. But sadly, the queen soon became sick and she died. Then the king married a new queen, but she was very bad. The bad queen liked to ask her magic mirror, every day. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? The magic mirror always answered, My queen, you are the fairest of them all. But one day, the magic mirror answered, My queen, Princess Snow White is the fairest of all. The bad queen became very angry. The angry queen ordered the hunter to take the Snow White into the forest and kill her. The hunter took the Snow White into the forest but asked Snow White to run far away from here and never to come back to the palace. Snow White ran into the forest. The forest was very dark. She was very scared. Then the Snow White spotted a small light up on a small hill. Snow White found a small cottage on the hill. Snow White went inside the cottage. She saw there were 7 small plates, cups, spoons and forks and even the small beds too. Snow White ate some food and took a nap. Then the 7 dwarfs who lived in the cottage came home. The dwarfs shouted, What happened to our food? Who's that sleeping in my bed? Isn't she Princess Snow White? At that moment, Snow White woke up. Soon they all became friends. She lived with them in their small cottage. One day, the bad queen asked her magic mirror again, Mirror, mirror on the wall, am I now the fairest of them all? Then the mirror answered, My queen, you are fair too, but Princess Snow White is fairer than you. The bad queen became very angry and decided to kill her. Then she poisoned some apples. She dressed up as an old lady and went into the forest near the cottage and started shouting, Apples, apples, buy some apples. Hearing the voice, Snow White came out of the cottage and asked for one apple from the old lady. Snow White took one big bite, but soon after, Snow White fell to the ground. The seven dwarfs came home and saw Snow White. Snow White, Snow White, please open your eyes. The dwarf shouted, but she did not open her eyes. Oh no, maybe she died. Oh no, the dwarfs were so sad, couldn't stop crying. A prince from nearby land says Snow White. The prince fell in love with Snow White. May I take this princess to my land? The dwarfs answered, yes, of course. They began to lift Snow White's coffin but dropped it by mistake. Then the piece of apple came out of Snow White's mouth. Oh, there I am! Snow White opened her eyes. Hooray! Hooray! The princess is alive! Princess Snow White is alive! The seven dwarfs started shouting. The prince approached Snow White and proposed her. My beautiful princess, will you marry me? The Snow White answered, yes, my lord, I will. So the princess and the Snow White married and lived happily ever after. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time there was a papa bear, a mama bear and a baby bear who lived in a small cottage in the jungle. And there was a little girl named Goldilocks who lived with her family. One morning Goldilocks was playing and she entered the forest. That morning the bears made porridge for breakfast. The porridge was very hot, so they decided to go for a walk in the forest. While walking through the forest, Goldilocks came across a house with a huge door. She was very eager to go inside. Hello, is anybody inside there? There was no answer. So she walked right in through the door. She saw a table, and on that table there were 3 bowls of porridge. Goldilocks was hungry. That porridge smells good. She says, let me eat some. Goldilocks went to the first bowl and started tasting some porridge. Ouch! This porridge is too hot. I burnt my tongue. So she tasted the porridge from the second bowl. Oh, this porridge is too cold. Then she tasted the last bowl of porridge. Ah, the porridge is just right. After having the breakfast, she was feeling a little tired. So she walked into the living room where she saw the 3 chairs. Goldilocks sat in the first chair to rest her feet. Then she said, this chair is too big. So she sat in the second chair. Then she said, this chair is too big, too big. So now she tried the last chair, the smallest chair. Ah, this chair is just right. But just as she sat down onto the chair, it broke. Oh no! Goldilocks was very tired now. She had no place to rest. So she decided to go upstairs to the bedroom. She lay down on the first bed. This one is too hard for me. she said. Then she laid down on the second chair. Oh, this one is too soft for me, she said. Then she laid down on the third bed. Ah, this one is just right. As she was sleeping, the three bears came home. Someone has been eating my porridge, said the Papa Bear. Someone has been eating my porridge too, said the Mama Bear. Someone has been eating my porridge too, and they ate it up all. Someone sat on my chair, said the Papa Bear. Someone sat on my chair too, said the Mama Bear. Someone sat on my chair and they had broken it all into pieces. Then they decided to look around some more. When they got upstairs to the bedroom, Papa Bear shouted, "Someone's been sleeping in my bed." Then the Mama Bear shouted, "Someone is being sleeping in my bed too." Then the baby bear shouted, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed and it's a human and she is still here," exclaimed the scared baby bear. Just as the three bears went towards her, Goldilocks woke up. "Help! Help! Somebody help me!" She just jumped and ran down to the stairs, opened the door and ran away into the forest. And she never came back again. Hello everyone, greetings of the day. I hope you all have seen all the stories. Yes, each story gives us some lesson. They teach us something. Even they give the morals. So, what do we learn from the story Cinderella? Yes, Cinderella teaches us to be kind towards all, forgive others for doing wrong, and never letting bad things ruin our heart. Even the story thinks that good versus evil, and luck can change your life. So, what do we learn from the story Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Yes, beauty is not what you look like, but who you are. What is the moral of the story of the Goldilocks and the three bears? Yes, don't break, steal, or eat someone else's property or the things. It is a bad manner. If you want something, ask them. What do we learn from the story Little Red Riding Hood? We should always listen to our parents, teachers, and our elders. We should never talk to strangers. What do we learn from the story Aladdin and the Magic Lamp? Yes, we learn that always make good friends. Don't think about being rich or poor. Just be what you are. Never get jealous of your friends. What do we learn from the story Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves? We learn that we should not be a greedy person in our life. A person should never be greedy. Always be happy for what you have in your life. Accept the love and care given by your parents and elders. I hope you all have learned good moral values and lessons from these stories, and you will try to implement these values in your life. Happy reading to all of you.